This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. I'm Matt Fanslow, and today I kind of want to talk about really a convergence of a lot of different ideas and themes that kind of hit me really over the weekend. But first, let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, NAPA Autotech Training. NAPA Autotech offers 3-hour virtual technical classes that can be accessed from the comfort of your home. To find out what courses are available, go to napaautotech.com and click on the NAPA Autotech class calendar link. This week, last week, a friend of mine, Tommy Oliva, was visiting some of his family up in Minnesota, and luckily I got to hang out with him a little bit. I met him and Sean Tipping of the Automotive Diagnostic podcast at a restaurant, and you know, you would have thought we would have talked a lot about cars and EEPROM and module cloning and stuff like that. I mean, we did talk about it, obviously, but Tommy brought up something that really kind of got me thinking, and it was kind of wondering out loud about his legacy. What kind of a legacy is he leaving? What kind of thoughts and memories is he leaving with people that he interacts with or who see him online and whatnot? And I was really thinking about that because immediately I'm extremely biased. You know, I know him. I consider him a good friend. I know he's super smart. I know he's just a really good person. He's got a repair shop, but he's been doing more and more module cloning work and programming for more than just clients. Like, other shops send him things. It's SJ Automotive Solutions. If you're running into an issue where you need to get a used module to work with a car, I can't recommend him enough. You can easily reach out to him via social media. So that was my initial thought, but then it kind of kept expanding, and not just about talent. So then I'm on the phone with another really good friend of mine, Pedro De La Torre, and he's been on the show. He's been on Sean's show as well. And I kind of bring this idea up to him a little bit about just the industry, our profession's culture isn't that where, like, there's references, I guess, if that makes sense, or where we're really good at crediting people or things where we gain knowledge. And I think almost specifically people. And other professions and stuff like that, maybe there's a lot of stuff to learn. Maybe you learned it from, just thinking like other skilled trades a little bit. You would have learned it from maybe the foreman or the journeyman you're studying under or learning under, some kind of a mentorship program. Think in medical, it's the same thing. Like, yes, years and years of college, and then a mentor through the kind of that long onboarding process of becoming whatever medical professional. It doesn't just have to be doctors. And then, of course, the material, right? Like, if they're going to reference a study, they have to reference the study, especially if they're making their own studies. But if they're talking to a client, a patient, they're going to refer to a study. You could go look up the study. There would be all the authors, and then they credit studies that they referenced, and that study referenced studies that they referenced. And we don't really do that. And it would not be super common in a skilled trade, service trade such as ours, but I think it's becoming much more relevant, because one thing that's really difficult to overlook is how widespread our knowledge is on vehicles, even if you're somewhat of a specialist, meaning there is the mechanical portion, the nuts and bolts of whatever given system. And then there's hydraulics, and there's HVAC, and there's emissions, and there's just the electrical, electronics, and you start adding up these systems are all, under one very condensed, concentrated roof. If this was a house, there's going to be a dedicated electrician. There's going to be a dedicated HVAC tech. And even those specialize a little bit with the installer. Maybe the installer is a little bit different than who bends up the tin, the ductwork. And if it breaks down, there's a different tech that shows up that's more of the repair or diagnostician type. You bring in a separate, a plumber. There really isn't just one person that walks through the door and they do it all. Not saying that doesn't exist, but it's really rare. And yet almost every shop you go into, there is a lot of those technicians that do bumper to bumper work. And then the explosion of online content. It's so easy to go learn something, go back to your shop, fire up your cell phone, shoot a video and upload it and wait for the comments to come in, wait for the likes and the follows and getting that rush. And I empathize with the rush. I tend to disagree with it though, that was the point where we could start giving credit where credit was due. And that not only puts over yourself, like that looks good, and it also puts over or complements the source. There's going to be a limit to like how far down the lineage you're going to go to the ultimate source of whatever. But I think it's a good practice. And funny enough, and I was kind of telling Pedro about this. I don't know. It was one of those really late night things. And I don't know how I did it. But I end up on these videos on YouTube and I'm watching Bill Hader. And Bill Hader is a comedic actor, a director, a writer, screenwriter. You may recognize him from Saturday Night Live. You may recognize him from a show on HBO called Barry. You might recognize him from the newest version movie of It. He's in a lot of stuff. A very funny person, but I was noticing that in his interviews, when they're asking him about a scene or how he came up with this idea or that idea or whatever to do with a show or a movie, very often he would name somebody, either a fellow actor on set or somebody else, the director of photography or the director or a grip, and just say, their name, their full name, and giving them credit for, we filmed this scene. We thought it was pretty good. Ended up at catering and so, who is our whatever costume director, said, hey, you know what might be funny? Or I saw that and it reminded me of this, something like that. It inspires to go try it again or rewrite it or make it better. And I kept hearing that over and over, seeing that repeated. That's a really, really good way for us to try to start, I think, ultimately changing something culturally in our industry. That you could go to a class and you see, Richard Falco talking about how to, do this test for this problem. And the next day in the shop, sure enough, a vehicle with that issue's there. You fire up your phone, you video it and you upload it. But during that, you're like, hey, I just went to this class presented by so-and-so and such, and I'm trying it right here and it worked. That's great. This is how, we're working to be better, more accurate, more productive, faster, guaranteeing you a properly repaired vehicle, something of that nature. And it makes you look good. It makes the training company look good. It makes the instructor look good. It just keeps kind of going down the line. I read this article. It was written by so-and-so. I saw this video and it was done by so-and-so. And surely they got it from somewhere else. But it just starts a whole culture of things. And I don't record this feeling like I've ever been slighted. I can't think of anything like that. That's totally not the nature of it. It is honestly just the explosion of information that you can see on YouTube, on social media, and just feeling like I understand if you see something online, there's probably really no like legal intellectual property. But I think like just the morality of it is such that we would give credit where credit's due, and it's going to come back, I think, tenfold to yourself when you do that. I just feel like this all wraps up into that legacy of, regardless of the level you're at, or, and by level, I mean really like time served, your seniority level in the profession, not just at whatever shop, how long you've been doing this, that you have a much better sense of how many techs there were, mechanics, technicians, instructors, content developers, service information writers, you name it, that have worked and put out this information, and who knows what their sacrifices were, or just that they would share that information with us, even for a price that was, we ask people to pay us to pay for our services. We would pay for their services or their knowledge to share that with us. It's like paying it back and paying it forward all in one fell swoop.
For 98 years, the NAPA name has meant quality parts and service. It also reflects top quality training programs to help you build a more successful vehicle repair business. No doubt, the technician shortage is impacting everyone, but you're not facing this battle alone. NAPA has the solution by making NAPA Autotech training available near you. NAPA Autotech provides automotive aftermarket technicians career development opportunities through structured, disciplined, measured, and high-quality technical instruction, no matter the technician or service advisor's skill level. This instruction enhances understanding of vehicle systems, increases first-time repair capability, and overall customer satisfaction. This instruction enhances understanding of vehicle systems, increases first-time repair capability, and overall customer satisfaction. It also prepares technicians to become ASE certified. It's a fact technicians who receive training to improve their knowledge and skills have a higher sense of job satisfaction. This reduces technician turnover and increases productivity, directly improving a shop's profitability. It is vital to the success of a shop's business that today's technicians are equipped to diagnose and repair today's complex vehicles. With our ever-changing technology, the technician's knowledge and skills need to be updated and refreshed on a regular basis. As you labor over the decision of whether to send your techs to get their skills sharpened, keep in mind, NAPA Autotech training is an investment, not an expense, and it's available to all. Much of NAPA Autotech's training is offered in more than one format to accommodate varieties of learning styles and training preferences so each person can maximize their learning. Whether you're more of a hands-on person or enjoy learning at your own pace, NAPA Autotech is here to provide you with the training you need in the format that works best for you. To learn more about what NAPA Autotech offers, contact napaautotech.com.
There's really something to, I don't know if modesty is exactly the right word, though. I think it's just an awareness. Matthew Skundrich once asked me to do an episode on Jurassic Park, and I should take him up on it. But there's that scene with Jeff Goldblum as Ian Black, Dr. Ian Black, the resident mathematician in chaos theory, talking about standing on the shoulders of giants. And there is a lot to that. And of course, he's speaking to the scientific community, but I do think a lot of that translates well to our profession. That there's just so much to know, so much that's built up over the years, old technologies that haven't changed all that much or have had some tweaking. And we're building on that and building on that. And there were people involved. Yeah, I just really would like to see us as a profession just recognizing that, referencing it, referring to it, like a self-imposed bibliography or citation. I think it's the awareness of it. That's probably what I really enjoy out of it and see out of it is how this gaining of knowledge is, a knee jerk. I was thinking of links in a chain. And if it is, it'd be links like a chain link fence. It's more like a web. It's just a web of knowledge and how we're so interconnected. And it would be very difficult to find like just that very, very beginning root of whatever type of a vine of skills and knowledge we're a part of. But knowing that there's a vine, knowing how really interconnected we are or could be with how and where we get our knowledge, that the humility of it and the awareness of it can only do good and allow us to kind of have legacies, and others have legacies, people that really deserve these type of a professional legacy. Tommy telling me about to power up modules on a bench, to make my own harnesses, to tell me to put down whatever tool and go grab another. How much he's helped me, to just building my own harnesses, how to get hold of connectors, whether I go to a salvage yard or kind of like the catalogs, even order them right from the parts store a lot of times, or the online connector expert types. I think there's like Pigtails, even pigtails.com. Or oftentimes you can get the factory one right from the dealer for cheap. And so he's got me building harnesses. So since I'm talking about referencing, I should be referencing, Tommy, where he's been such a good friend and has helped me out with what to buy, what not to buy. Just very recently, he had stopped by the shop and I kind of gave him a tour and I was showing him my office and my setup. And then I had purchased some bench testing cables, stuff that I can power up modules on a bench, connect scan tool, stuff like that. And he's showing me about building my own and how I can get some of these connectors right from the manufacturer. Also, just going through the catalogs for like the AC Delco Pigtails or connectors, and Ford Motor Company, the Motorcraft, everything's online now. I think actually the Motorcraft may still have a paper one you can still get, but didn't really ever think about that. Building my own test harnesses and labeling them. And I for the price, and I got time invested, but for the price, I can build a lot of them for different versions. I just didn't even think about it. And then once he says it, sometimes it sucks to hear something you should have felt like you probably should have known already. And, Pedro has helped me on vehicles, really pointed me in the right direction on EEPROM early on with AR Labs, because I had this wish list, which I still have. And I'm telling him about it. I'm rattling off all these things. And he's like, you need to get one of these AR Labs, AR32. And I'm like, but the thing's so clunky looking and it's old. And wouldn't this newer stuff work better? I mean, you would think this would do all the stuff that doesn't. And he's like, no, it's kind of quite the opposite. Like, it looks clunky and it is clunky and navigation is not intuitive, but I have a bunch of those tools on your list, and where they fail, AR Labs succeeds. And he's right. I've had for sure 3 instances just off the cuff where that has been the case, where the other stuff fails, and that worked. With both of them, it's the tip of the iceberg. And there's so many people that I've learned so much from, that I hope to be better about referencing them and giving credit where credit is due. I hope you see where I'm coming from with this. And I hope you agree that it would just be like a really good kind of cultural thing amongst ourselves to start and see perpetuated throughout. I really appreciate you listening. Just a quick health update. Danielle, this weekend, Labor Day weekend, we decided to take the kids and the dogs out for a walk with our family. We leashed the kids and let the dogs free. I don't know how things work out with you guys, but we went for a pretty good walk, and it was hot and humid. So it was in the 90s, pretty high 90s. Not as humid as it could be, but a tad on the sticky side. And you know what? I hate to even put like a distance on it, but we went for a pretty good walk. And again, it's not like it was, I mean, it's crazy to think we're talking a year or two ago, but it's so much better than it was before. She is not fully recovered, but I think, a lot of that stress of when you're not getting better, and it's not just days adding up of not feeling better, months. There's a lot going on mentally when that happens, right? Trying to kind of come to grips with a new reality. So I think we just feel very, very fortunate that whatever it is, if it's time, some of the changing up of medications, just different things we've done with diet and adding a lot of air purifiers in the house, one dedicated just for the bedroom, and just really trying to any and every little thing we could do. We just did it all at once, so it'd be really hard to like pick out any one thing that led to the improvement of things. But it's been relatively slow and steady. But yeah, it really means a lot when you guys reach out to check up on her, just randomly calling or sending a message, checking in on her. It means a ton. Hopefully things continue to improve, but at least where she's at now is, it's not so debilitating. So I think that's important to her, just even mentally. A lot of people don't luck out like that. So, yeah. So thanks again for listening. I hope you see where I'm coming from on this. And I'm kind of looking forward to the comments on this. So if you're listening to this on YouTube or, see a link on a social media, leave some comments about who contributed to your knowledge level, who really had a big effect on you, whether it's just you as a professional and your knowledge or productivity, or just maybe outlook. Yeah, I'm kind of really looking forward to that. I would really like to start up a series, if you will. I don't know if this is the right name for it, but a legacy type, where we start picking out these people. And I've done it before, but unfortunately it was after he passed away. Steve Brotherton is a perfect example. How much that could have meant to him and us to be able to tell him what he meant to us. And for him to hear that would have meant the world to be able to do that. And I would like to start doing that. So if you have people in mind that would be good candidates for such a thing, I look forward to seeing those ideas, but also just reading and hearing about those that you credit with helping you get to wherever you're at, and whatever that means, right? I know it's got to be a really vague concept, because that's something I struggle with. I don't really know what it means. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you to NAPA Autotech Training for sponsoring. Thank you to the Aftermarket Radio Network for allowing me to do this. So until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Matt Fanslow, diagnosing the aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fanslow on social media and connect, or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.